found that many aspects of academic and professional practices were incredibly interesting and will most likely benefit me most when embarking into the professional world. Since I intended to move into public relations, learning about writing press releases and other professional writing is an essential skill. Not only are the skills learned in these seminars likely to help me in later life, they're also useful in other units. In one of the IMC assignments, I drafted a press release to go along with my campaign plan, as I felt that it gave the whole assignment a more authentic and professional calibre. I enjoyed the production of this portfolio. Like the IMC assignment, it seemed more practical than other assignments which had been handed to us throughout the course. I always feel like the work I'm doing is somewhat closely linked with my career choice, which makes it more gratifying to me. With this said, it can be quite difficult getting yourself into a professional mindset in order to give the work the level of formality that is kind of needed in the business world. My biggest struggle with assignments is not really on an academic level, but on more of an organisational one. Procrastination is probably the biggest challenge in the production of this portfolio, as with many of my other assignments. Admittedly, this is a serious issue and is something that I definitely need to improve on long before I go into the business world, ideally before I go into the second year. Other than that, I would say my inability to incorporate specifically academic and scholarly articles into my assignment as reference is probably another issue. I always tend to focus on news pieces or stuff like that. This is something I've always done, beginning in kind of English literature A level. However, obviously at university it's far less acceptable. In order to solve this, I think I'm going to develop a sort of database filled with useful scholars and theorists whose work is tends to come up repeatedly within my assignments as sort of a reference guide. From reading my feedback back on the first assignment of the unit, I realised that the essay writing lectures would have been incredibly helpful. Many of my notes were predominantly focused on my essay writing ability, and many issues in my structuring was one of the biggest issues. Greetham devised 5 stages which take place in the production of an essay. I felt that the first 2 stages, interpretation and research, were not really things I had an issue with, apart from maybe gathering scholarly articles as well as the other articles I used. However, the following 3 were in fact aspects that I really needed to work on. In essence, they all link with each other. Planning and writing are arguably the most important aspects. Both could be linked with the critiques I received. It was noted on more than one occasion that I would begin to discuss a point and then just kind of go off on a tangent and not really come to any conclusion with that point, or go into any depth. This is something which could be resolved by better planning. If I were to go and kind of distinctly write out my points and what I'm going to do with those points, then I would actually have an idea going into the essay, rather than coming up with a point off of the cuff and then not really knowing where I intend to go with it and kind of trailing off without any decisive ending. Because I feel like doing that almost weakens the argument quite significantly. In addition to this, I think revision of my essays and reading through everything I write, not just essays, any sort of piece of work, would really kind of help me pick up on most of the notes that I receive, because most of them are obvious things. It's just a lack of kind of thorough reading through means you don't really pick up on it. And for example, my lack of cohesiveness when I write is not something I write because you're almost in the moment during the writing. However, if I were to read back from a kind of different perspective almost, I would almost certainly pick up on it.